Number 10. Jay Garrick. He made his first debut back in Flash Comics issue 1. He was the first Flash, so we figured we gotta start with him. He rocks the blue pants and the red top with the lightning bolt. Classic look, but the thing that stands out the most with Jay is probably his winged hat, Hermes' helmet. He's got super speed and pinpoint accuracy with a helmet. He'll throw a helmet at your kneecaps if he can't catch you. This dude is a badass. He wasn't on a god level like some of these other versions that I'll mention, but he could run at the speed of sound, which back in the 40s that was quite impressive. Jay went to Midwestern University in Keystone City, majoring in both chemistry and physics, but when an experiment to purify water went south, these fumes knocked him out for a whole week. During that beauty sleep, Jay's body rejected nutrients and his metabolism increased greatly. When he did finally wake up, his new powers got him a spot on the Justice Society of America while remaining a scientist. He's getting it done, heroic way and in the nerdy way. We love him. Number 9. Barry Allen. One of the most popular versions of the Flash, of course, has got to be Barry Allen. He made his first appearance in Showcase issue 4. When he was just a child, his mother was sadly killed and his father was convicted of the crime. Barry was so determined to prove his father's innocence, so he went to school at Sun City University, receiving a major in organic chemistry and a minor in criminology. As an adult, he moved to a Central City apartment and began dating Iris West, a reporter from Picture News. An electrical storm hit one night when Barry was working on an experiment when a bolt of lightning hit him while shattering a cabinet full of chemicals. Now this resulted in Barry being now the fastest man alive, and he tried to hail a taxi, but when he ran after it, he was much further than he intended on going. Pretty sweet discovery. He used his power to save Iris West from a stray bullet, and after that point he knew he had to do more. The first villain Barry ever went toe-to-toe with, ironically, was the Turtle Man. Barry wasn't used to controlling these speeds yet, so he would just keep whizzing by him in random directions. It was actually pretty stressful. The Turtle guy did not bad. Slowest guy on Earth versus the fastest guy on Earth, and somehow it came close. He was in a rowboat and he's like, "You can't catch me, Barry." He's like, "I can." And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It helps us out so much here on the channel. You guys are the best. Now let's get right back to this list. Number 8. Wally West. So after Barry Allen sacrificed his life in the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline back in 1985, it was Wally West who stepped up to take on the Flash mantle next. He popped up for the first time in the Flash issue 110. He was born in Blue Valley, Nebraska, and he grew up daydreaming about being the Flash one day. So when his Aunt Iris was dating Barry Allen, like the Flash that he dreamt of being, it was like a dream come true. It was like meeting your idol. He was in Barry's apartment and the chemical cabinet was the exact same as how when Barry got his powers, so Wally just had to ask about it. Well, it turns out the weather was also the exact same on this night because Wally wished that he would become the Flash, and it happened. Lightning hit, creating another speedster. That's pretty encouraging. I'm just gonna go hang out near my medicine cabinet next time there's a storm. Just wait. Number 7. Leah Nelson. Earth 9's version of the Flash is one of the most powerful and popular. Double whammy. She's actually the second most recognized person on the planet, despite traveling at blink and you'll miss it speeds. She made her first appearance in Tangent Comics Flash issue 1 back in 1997, created by Dan Jurgens, Todd DeGazzo, and Gary Frank. Now, Leah was famous since birth, not because of her whole abilities, but because her parents were the first astronauts to go on the Jupiter mission. Once Leah grew up and learned how to control these abilities, she took on the alias The Flash, but still wasn't sure if she was loved by the public because of her abilities or just because of who her parents are. Kind of like a Kardashian. She joined the Secret Six later on, but her main goal was to get rid of that world's Harvey Dent, aka Evil Superman. She even got Wally West to help join the fight in Tangent Superman Reign issue 1. Leah is made of light, like literally she could control and manipulate light, but perhaps one of the best features is that she's an amazing actor. Like that would definitely come in handy. During Countdown Arena issue 1, Leah pretended to be a damsel in distress to manipulate Jay Garrick of Earth 2. So many skills. I love it. Number 6. Kingdom Come Flash. On our last list, we were breaking down 10 different versions of Superman, so if you haven't checked that out, do so after this video. It should be somewhere over there. But in it, of course, we mentioned the Kingdom Come storyline. In the Flash of Earth 22, Wally West was the father of Kid Flash and a member of the Justice League. So after Superman had retired, he took his job into overdrive. He was sprinting crime scene to crime scene, just a constant force. You couldn't even have a conversation with the guy. He was that busy. Lots to do now that Supes is gone. I mean, more than fair. The Kingdom Come storyline is one of the most compelling for our characters, especially because the Flash couldn't stop. He didn't have a choice to retire. He had a daughter in this reality as well, named Kid Flash, so he was busy. Number 5. Zoom. Making his first appearance in the Flash Secret Files Origins issue 3, Hunter Zolomon, aka Zoom, believed himself to be the true Flash. He was the main enemy of Wally West's Flash, and he took his name and appearance from the original Reverse Flash. Now, it all began when he was injured in an attack from Gorilla Grodd. He was left paralyzed from the waist down, so he asked Wally West if he could, use the cosmic treadmill and maybe go back in time and prevent that horrible life-altering event to take place, something like that. But it's not that easy. Wally said he couldn't do it because you can't risk the time stream. But Hunter was so desperate, he broke into the museum and tried to use the treadmill, but this resulted in an explosion that gave him super speed. Going of course by the name Zoom, he believed that Wally West declined to help out because he never experienced loss. He had no idea what he was talking about, I guess. So Hunter took it upon himself to take out Linda Park, Wally's wife. What a horrible way to teach a life lesson. And then in the Flash issue 200, Wally West uses his powers to freeze Zoom and make him repeat the worst day of his life over and over. That's honestly a pretty messed up thing to do, Wally. I mean, it's not very heroic, but we get it. You kind of sound like a villain though. I mean, someone repeating the worst day of their life? Jesus, dude. Just ground them. Make them bored. Number 4, Avery Ho. One of the leading members of the Justice League of China, Avery Ho's Flash made her first appearance in the Flash Volume 5, Issue 3. She got her powers through the Speed Force storm of Central City, and at first she didn't have much control over them at all. She would just constantly vibrate, which sounds like a headache. It sounds like a nightmare, not being able to stop vibrating. Oh my god. She was visited by Barry Allen though, and he taught her how to control that vibrating problem, and then later on, she was brought to Dewan Speed Force Academy to learn even more. When an unknown speedster was killing the current speedsters, Avery was able to warn Barry, and in the end she was one of the lucky ones who got to retain her powers while dealing with Godspeed, who I'll explain later on. Number 3, Black Flash. Making its haunting first appearance in the Flash Volume 2, Issue 138, the Black Flash was said to be seen right before the deaths of Barry Allen and Johnny Quick. Max Mercury had a close call with death, so he too saw it. It's literally the personification of death, and at first it came for Wally West, but instead it took his girlfriend Linda Park into the Speed Force. When it later returned, Wally had backup this time. The only ones that could help were the ones connected to the Speed Force, like Jay Garrick, Max Mercury, Jesse Quick, so on and Danforth. They all joined the battle, and finally Wally was able to defeat the Black Flash. Wally raced it to the end of time to do so. He raced it to a place where death had no meaning, so in turn it just dissipated. Now the title Black Flash was also used when Professor Zoom was in his Black Lantern form. Little fun fact. Number 2, Red Death. An evil fusion of Batman and the Flash. Say no more. Batman was the hero of Gotham City. He had his Robins, the usual story, but slowly as his sidekicks were biting the bullet, Bruce Wayne wanted more power to prevent the next one from happening. But he felt like still he wasn't fast enough. He felt like if he had the Flash's power, he could have done a better job. So he tried. He took out every Flash villain, he took all their weapons, and he used it to fight Barry Allen. Batman used his Batmobile and merged it with the cosmic treadmill, absorbing his powers, and then the Red Death was born. Now at this point, the Red Death was totally fine with killing. And even worse, he was okay with Barry's consciousness living inside of him, telling him to stop. Man, I thought having a song stuck in your head was bad. Imagine Barry Allen. It'd be a nightmare. And finally, number 1, Future Flash. The Flash from the Out of Time storyline made his first appearance, last appearance, I guess, in the Flash Volume 4, Issue 30. Now we're talking 20 years into the future, and at this point Barry witnessed the death of Wally West and he felt guilt. He used his powers to go back in time and kill every enemy that was somehow involved in the path leading there. He does this, but eventually he comes into contact with himself, present day Barry Allen. And then Wally also shows up to stop this dark future Barry, so it's one of those weird ones. It's one of those storylines where Future Flash was actually always responsible for the death of Wally 20 years later. You can't change fate, no matter how fast you can run. Kicking off the list at number 10, The Nail. Created by Alan Davis, this version of Superman is Amish. Hot start, that's right. After he survived the destruction of Krypton, baby Kal-El was then sent to Earth in order to survive. The origin story for Superman gets a little strange when Martha and John Kent got a flat tire before departing for Smallville that day. Hence the name The Nail. Now we're putting it together. There we go. So the Lovebirds end up staying in for the night. Martha says she's in the mood just to stay home, and John agrees. So now, instead instead the super infant was found by an Amish couple. Now he's raised a good lad, but he's disconnected from the world. He's churning butter, not checking Twitter. He has no clue he's a Kryptonian. So in turn, we get to see a Justice League with no Superman, and the world is a hot mess. Lex salvaged Kal-El's spaceship after he landed, so he used that tech to create an evil version of Jimmy Olsen. But when Super Jimmy is fighting the Justice League, the fight moves to Amish Kal-El's backyard, and that's when he discovers his true powers. He always had a feeling he was superpowered, he just didn't really know. So he bids farewell to his Amish folks, and then he unleashes the power of a god. What a day. Number 9. Injustice Superman. This comic run began back in 2013. Injustice Gods Among Us issue 1. Brought to us from the minds of Tom Taylor and Jeremy Rappak, comes this dark alternate reality where Lois Lane was kidnapped by the Joker. So he goes on this hunt with the help of the Justice League, tearing submarines apart, looking for his love, but as issue 4 begins, so do the streams of our tears. Lois Lane gets killed, and in turn Superman goes bat insane. He couldn't even stick around. He gave the body to Wonder Woman and then shoom, he just flew off. Green Lantern tried to talk to him a little bit, saying, you know, you're hurt, you're angry, yada yada yada, just slow down. But Superman wasn't having it. He had something better on his mind. Batman's face says it all during this scene. Superman tells Batman during his dark ruling days that he learned the idea of enforcing peace through fear from Batman himself. I see no lie here. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, that would be super helpful for us at Top 10 Nerd. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for your support. And let's not waste any time and get you right back into this list. Number 8. Kingdom Come Superman. Shifting over to an alternate reality with an older Justice League, this Superman isn't as ruthless, but take that with a grain of salt. Kal-El of Earth 22 made his first punch into DC Comics with Kingdom Come issue 1. Now this is a version where Lois Lane still did perish, only before her untimely demise she made Superman promise to her that he would not kill the Joker in retaliation, so a little bit different this time. So he followed through and simply had the clown arrested. But this new superhero named Magog made their debut, and then they in turn ended up killing the Joker. Magog was obviously put on trial because, you know, killing's bad and all that stuff, but he was acquitted. The general public was like, oh, the Joker? Yeah, that guy was horrible. Thanks, great work. I could take the bus without having a panic attack now. Lovely, sounds wonderful, keep it up. Superman had to then rethink a lot after this. I mean, the public is now okay with killing villains. What does this world even come to? He's been letting these guys live, and in turn they've broken free over and over again, and then continued killing innocents over and over again. So he then just disappears to the Fortress of Solitude for a bit, observing without intervening. Now he did return less than a decade later, but the world had fallen into a societal depression. So with a new suit, older Clark Kent returned to the League, ready to once again enforce a code of ethics. Number 7. Calvin Ellis. When a comic book hints at a past president of the United States, it's usually pretty comical. For example, in Harley Quinn and Her Gang of Harleys issue 5, we meet Harley's Sin, and her father looks and acts a little bit like Donald Trump. It's a ride. Now Calvin Ellis, on the other hand, was written by Grant Morrison to be based off Barack Obama and Muhammad Ali. So a much better person and role model, I'd say, just right off the bat. Earth 23 Superman President Ellis made his first appearance in DC Comics with Final Crisis issue 7. Kal-El was raised by the Ellis family, teaching him to always stand up for himself no matter what, and to fight for what he believes in no matter what bullies stand in your way. A little more optimistic and useful than the Amish family, I'd say, just a tad. Can I churn butter? Or can I like save people? No? Just churning butter? Alright, great. Number 6, Ultraman. Coming from Earth 3, originally Earth 2 in the comics, Ultraman is the evil version of Superman. Always fun, even if it's dark. Appropriately named Clark Luthor, he gets more power the more kryptonite he's exposed to. So if you see him dipping some crystals and licking them, you know, you gotta hit the deck. And the design is pretty much the same, only instead of a hopeful S on his chest, Ultraman rocks a U. The angrier Ultraman gets, the stronger he also gets. So usually a play on opposites are fun in comics. This one's just borderline terrifying. Number 5, Red Sun Superman. Superman Red Sun was released in 2003 from the mind of Mark Miller, part of the Elseworlds imprint. And we ask, what if Superman had been raised in the Soviet Union? I just watched Black Widow, we saw like a Russian Captain America, great stuff. Now we're talking about Russian Superman. That's why we're here, folks, let's do it. The ship lands on a Ukrainian collective farm instead of Texas, and this idea had been floating around in Miller's mind since he was a 6-year-old. Back when he read Superman issue 300, it showed the USA and the USSR rushing to claim the fallen Super Sun when he landed in neutral waters. Now, Mark Millar always wondered what it would be like if the other guys ended up getting to him first, an idea that subsequently earned Miller an Eisner Award nomination in 2004 for Best Limited Series, so you must check it out. Number 4. Superman Parallax. In Superman Volume 4, Issue 29, written by Keith Champagne, we see Superman on the search for missing children from Metropolis, but when Superman follows a lead, he's greeted from fear himself at an abandoned hospital. Parallax and Superman fight it out, but realizing he has no other choice, Superman offers himself up to the Dark Force. The only being that can save Earth at this point after is Sinestro, a powerful alternate, perhaps one of the scariest. You be the judge. Number 3. Lara Lane Kent Supergirl. This next version of Supes looks a lot like the version that we're going to get in the new Flash movie, so I had to throw her in there to get the gears spinning a bit. She's the daughter of Superman and Lois Lane. She appeared for the first time in Injustice Gods Among Us Year 3 storyline. Now, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, we learn that Lois Lane is indeed pregnant, and the following sequels would have shown us a world without Lois. So perhaps this Flash film will show us this bright alternate world where Batman has killed the Joker and Supergirl grows up with both of her parents' guidance. She looks pretty badass too. Now, these are just set photos, but the similarities are wild. To see for yourself, check out Injustice Year 3, starting with issue 6 or 7. I think she comes in around there. Number 2. Superboy Prime. This version of Superman has more powers and less weaknesses. I'm talking immunity to kryptonite and magic. He first appeared in DC Comics Presents issue 87, where Kal-El landed on Earth and was discovered by Jerry and Naomi Kent while they were on a hike in the New England seacoast town. They named him Clark, although Clark Kent was the name of a popular comic book hero, Superman. So yeah, he already existed on this Earth Prime. Now, Clark grew up and later attended a costume beach party, which I gotta say, tights plus sand, really? It's not the best idea, I don't know. They went to get a glimpse of Halley's Comet by the beach. It sounds great. Clark even dressed up like Superboy, although he was being teased. And then all of a sudden a tidal wave hits, a portal opens, and the Superman pops out from another dimension. Now at the same time, Clark's powers manifested and he quickly learned what to do with them in the moment. Superboy followed that Superman back into the portal to his reality. Unbeknownst to him though, he would never come back. That is until he decides to later punch reality apart. Number 1, Superman Prime. Superman of the 853rd century. He's literally a living extension of the sun at this point in time, so we gotta finish with him. He left Earth way back in the late 21st century once everybody he cared about passed away. Okay, he's like, oh, she's dead? Peace. What about the millions of others you could help? I don't know. There's other people. Meet other people. Go on Hinge. I don't know. He traveled beyond space and time after that, literally reaching heaven and hell, and he made his first appearance in DC 1 Million issue 4. So after soaking up the sun for 15,000 years straight, Superman obtained new abilities. He's more powerful than the gravitational pull of a collapsing star, and is many, many times faster than the speed of light. He's so powerful that he has some energy to spare. One of those new abilities is to share his power with others. A small amount, but still, that's far beyond any other metahuman at that point ever. You thought Superman was godlike before. This guy can literally smell you across the universe. And that's not even a joke. It's called superhuman olfaction. It's a real thing. He can smell trouble across black holes. Kicking off the list at number 10, we have Dawnbreaker. This version of Bruce Wayne first appeared in Dark Days The Casting, issue 1, residing in, of course, the dark multiverse on Earth 32. The story picks up with the usual Bruce Wayne origins. His parents are both taken out by Joe Chill that night, but here young Bruce Wayne comes into contact with a Green Lantern ring. So Bruce approaches Joe and he's pretty pissed at this point. He's going for blood right off the bat. He ended up turning Joe Chill into bones and dust. And then when Bruce met Gordon, they got off on the wrong foot initially as well. Gordon greets him and he's like, Green Lantern, wasn't sure you'd show up. And then Bruce straight up's like, hey man, don't threaten me. Really awkward vibes, just quick awkward vibes right off the bat, no friendship there. He was taking out Gotham's villains super quick. Each time he did it, he would scream and yell about how much his parents deserved to not be dead. He flew the Penguin into outer space. That's how you handle a guy right there. You take him and you go, right off planet. Okay, so with all of these brutal assassinations, the rest of the Green Lanterns knew they had to come and put a stop to this madness. Only it wasn't that easy. Bruce destroyed all of them. He executed the entire Guardians of the Universe. Beware his power, Dawnbreaker's might. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It helps our channel out and the studio quite a bit. You guys are super supportive. Thank you so much. Click, 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 and then we'll continue. Okay, let's do it. Number 9, Speeding Bullets Batman. There's a name. This Elseworld storyline showed us what would happen if Kal-El's ship did not crash land in Smallville, but rather it landed in Gotham. So when the inevitable did happen and his parents were attacked and killed that night, Bruce Wayne, real named Kal-El, used his alien powers and unwillingly killed the robbers. His powers just came out in the form of heat vision. Toast. They didn't make it at all. No chance. And after this point, Bruce Wayne wasn't the same. He was ruthless. He had the powers of a god and so much anger, guilt, and pain inside. He had no idea what to do with this. So he would just repeat over and over, the bullets, the bullets, the bullets. Like he was in bad shape mentally. He hid from the world in his mansion of solitude, and he couldn't even look at photos of anything related to death as it was super triggering. And then one night, a group of robbers tried to invade said house, but again, heat vision wins this round. Didn't make it. A little older and a little wiser, Kal-El decided that now is time to use his powers to get the job done. Help out, you know, be a role model. He took up the identity of the Batman, but still, just because he rocked the cape doesn't mean he was doing all the right things. For example, when Lois Lane was kicked out of Lex Luthor's limo later on, she was about to be attacked by thugs, but Batman came in and burned their flesh while splintering their bones. Or you could fly them to jail. Or vaporize their eyes. That works too. You can vaporize their eyes. That's sure, that gets the job done. Number 8, Darkclaw. Veering out of the dark multiverse for a hot minute, we have to talk about Darkclaw. Coming from the Amalgam universe, where DC and Marvel combined powers, literally, we get a Wolverine-Batman mix. He first appeared in Legends of the Darkclaw issue 1 back in 1996, and his origin story is a hot mess. At just age 5, Logan Wayne witnessed the death of his parents. The usual stuff, but then he was sent to live with his uncle in Alberta, Canada. Better bring a jacket. It's cold. His uncle too bit the bullet after poachers ambushed him. So Logan Wayne enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force when he was of age, and shortly after was submitted into the Weapon X program. So much amalgam fun. There Logan got the adamantium treatment, but the Weapon X program was terminated because it was deemed a failure. Why, you ask? Logan Wayne still retained his conscience. So where to go next but to travel the world? Logan studied abroad. He studied a variety of crime-fighting skills in his time. He studied criminology, forensics, martial arts, gymnastics, you name it. This guy learned all 127 major styles of combat. And yes, Thumb Wars is included. You never know, you never know. That mixed with Wolverine's abilities, I mean, you're screwed. Good game. Number 7, 1800s Batman. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, a tale of the Batman, written by Brian Augustin and brought to life by Mike Mignola. Here comes a tale from the Victorian era where Batman is hunting down Jack the Ripper. So it's 1889, and while these attacks are happening over and over, the general public is starting to whisper through the winds and talk amongst themselves in the shadows that maybe, just maybe, it's Batman who is committing these crimes because, well, he's dressed like that. Pretty fair assumption. We love some Victorian drama. Let's get spooky. So we get historic killers here, we get old-timey gangs, Bruce gets framed. It's an entirely new version of Batman, but it's an older take on the Caped Crusader. To see Batman purely rely on his detective skills more than anything makes for a really enjoyable story. I mean, there's no crazy gadgets or cool Batmobile that flicks him up a building. He's just like, I got it, I'm a detective, let's do this. Steampunk Batman for the win. It got the feature film treatment in 2018 with Sam Liu directing, so if you're looking for an old-timey superhero animated flick with Jack the Ripper, there you go. Just made your day. What do you know? Number 6, Thomas Wayne. Coming from the Flashpoint storyline released back in 2011, written by Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert, Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, was actually the one to become Batman in this timeline. Now in this universe, Bruce Wayne was the one who got shot that fateful night and he bit the bullet. The world of Flashpoint is this altered reality where Barry accidentally ends up in, where Batman is older and much more violent. And not so much as a detective like Bruce. See, what happened was, in this alternate reality, Bruce's mother, Martha, is so traumatized that she becomes the Joker. That's why during the opening credits of Batman vs Superman, we were all pumped in the theater because Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohen, two amazing actors, were in such a small opening scene as Bruce's parents, with zero dialogue. Now with recent set photos of Michael Keaton in the new Flash movie, we're still in for a great time, but we were so close to the best Flash movie with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a dark Thomas Wayne. Jeffrey Dean Morgan did say on Twitter that ever since Zack Snyder walked away, his whole bit in that world has walked away with him. But we still got Michael Keaton, so it's still fine. It's good. It's good. Number 5. Red Death. Coming from the Dark Multiverse, Earth 52, first appearing in Dark Days the Casting issue 1, Red Death Batman used to be a hero who fought alongside Robin in his world. The events that transpired in Batman's life were taking a harder toll on him. He was watching all of these sidekicks just bite the bullet, so he was desperate to find this new power, a new way to get ahead of these horrible crimes. So he looked at his world's Flash. Batman honestly believed that he could use the Speed Force better than the Flash, so he took out all the Flash's villains, stole all their tech, and then he himself fought the Flash, and he was winning. He drove the two of them into the Speed Force because he had merged his Batmobile with the Cosmic Treadmill. That's always fun. And then that's when he absorbed all of Barry's powers. He did it. After Batman came back from the Speed Force, he referred to himself as Batman, the Red Death, where he would easily and brutally kill Gotham's rogues. All the while, Barry's consciousness is begging him to stop inside of him. It's kind of like a nightmare, this version. Definitely a nightmare. Number 4, Azrael. Right after the 1993 Nightfall story, when Batman got his back broken by Bane, just absolutely wrecked, he decided to pass the Batman mantle right on to not Dick Grayson. No, instead he chose Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael. His run on Batman wasn't the same as Bruce's. I mean, for starters, Azrael's methods were pretty violent and quite irresponsible. In all fairness, he was capable of defeating Bane with his new tricked out batsuit, but this guy thought that he was actually an all-round better Batman and a permanent successor rather than a replacement. Got news for you, pal. So once Bruce did recover, he had to force Azrael to leave the position. Even the style changes were quite drastic. Azrael made more than a few changes to the suit. Now it's black and yellow, this metallic armor, and then he added some other gadgets like claws, dual mag weapons, and of course, a cape. Just to, because he's a hero, he needs a cape. Number 3, Terry McGinnis. The year is 2039, and by this point, Bruce Wayne has retired from the crime-fighting life. But meanwhile, Project Cadmus director Amanda Waller was out in search of a replacement, beginning with Project Batman Beyond. A major key element was using Batman's blood samples left over from his altercations, the OG Batman. That, mixed with some nanotech solutions, we now can make the DNA of Bruce Wayne. The future, how lovely. So Amanda found the Warren McGinnis household with Warren and Mary, and the couple was psychologically identical to Thomas and Martha Wayne. Perfect. So when they thought they were going in for a flu shot, they didn't know they were actually about to be the new parents of a new Batman. Amanda almost had both of them taken out to, encourage the lonely road of the Caped Crusader growing up, but thankfully she scrapped that idea. Because we don't need the same origin story, Amanda. Like, give the kid a minute to figure it out. Like, they don't have to. We don't need to. Turns out you can't avoid fate still, because down the road in Terry's teenage years, his father ended up getting killed, and Terry believed that it was actually the corrupt CEO Derek Powers behind all of it. So he got the help of Bruce Wayne, who was part of the merger with Derek Powers naturally. Then after facing off against the Joker's gang, Terry realized that Bruce was in fact this original Batman. So Terry stole his batsuit and was determined to find justice himself. The Beyond suit is just awesome. Rocket boots, claws, cloaking device. The red and black, I mean, you can't get any better than that. Number 2, Batman. Coming from Earth 43, Batman is, well, he's just that. He's Batman who doubles down as a vampire. Nice. We see him for the first time in Batman and Dracula Red Reign. His origins are the same for the most part, how he became Batman because of his parents, all that jazz. That's the same. But then when he's patrolling one night, he starts to find victims all with the same injury. Their throats have been just slashed apart. Who could have done this? Why, Dracula himself, that's who. He gets help from a rogue vampire named Tanya, who was once part of Dracula's posse. And Batman is so wild, this guy willingly gets bitten by a vampire to become one, so then he can take on Dracula. Whatever it takes to get the job done, I respect that a lot. And finally, number 1, Batman, the God of all knowledge. The Mobius chair made its first appearance in New Gods issue 1, and the chair itself was created by Mobius, aka the Anti-Monitor. He gave the chair to Metron, but when Metron took his eye off the prize for a minute, Batman ended up becoming the God of all knowledge for a short time. What happened was Wonder Woman grabbed Metron with her lasso, yanked him right off, and then before boom tubes were summoned or anything like that, Batman just took that chance that he had and jumped on the chair. Musical chair style. Then the Dark Knight becomes the bright light. The whole team at this time is fighting Darkseid, and Batman's just floating in the background, just trying to figure out the universe. He's just searching for solutions via the cosmic realm. It's pretty spectacular. Things took a jump to overdrive when he also received a power ring. I thought he was a good detective before, but now, I mean, that's just That's just OP.
Number 10. Arana. Arana is definitely one of the most random alternates for Wonder Woman. She was an Amazon who only made a few appearances in the comics in the Earth 1 continuity and would take the Wonder Woman mantle from Diana after beating her in a contest of champions. Arana was very skilled and did beat Diana, which is why I thought it was relevant to include her here. Though it should also be noted that she mainly won, especially the last contest, because Diana's concern for the safety of others slowed her down. While Hippolyta initially proclaimed her daughter the victor of the contest due to her heroism, the gods disagreed and made Arana the winner instead. Diana chose to accept their will and handed over the position and title to Arana. Arana, however, would prove to be out of her league when she ventured into man's world, mainly failing as Wonder Woman due to her stubbornness and a string of misunderstandings. She was still pretty strong though. And of course, she was still the rightful victor of the contest, and for that, I thought she might be a cool alternative to highlight. Arana's story as Wonder Woman takes place over the course of 2 issues from Wonder Woman 250 to issue 251. Arana would also inspire a follow-up red-headed Wonder Woman character who would appear later on in the comics. Not inspire her as a person, but just inspire that character to exist. Number 9. Earth 2 Wonder Woman. Earth 2 Wonder Woman was the first version of the character we were introduced to in the comics, with her making her very first appearance back in 1942 in All-Star Comics issue number 8. This version of Diana would have tons of gadgets, including her earrings, which granted her whatever amount of oxygen she needed to survive, no matter where she was, gave her enhanced hearing, allowed her to survive without needing to consume food, and she could use them as a communication device, communicating at one point with the leader of Venus. That is a very versatile accessory. Although she was very strong and had various gadgets at her disposal to enhance her abilities, Diana did still possess the weakness that if she was bound by any man, she would lose all of her power. However, being bound by a woman, at least, doesn't have that effect, and as soon as Wonder Woman can get free, her powers do return to her. Also, good luck trying to bind Wonder Woman. I feel like that would be challenging. And friends, before we move on to our next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more Wonder Woman lists, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Artemis. Back in the New Earth days, there was a time when Artemis became the new Wonder Woman. Artemis is from the Bana Migdal tribe of Amazons who hail from Egypt. Artemis would become Wonder Woman after Hippolyta had a vision of the hero dying, and not wanting her daughter to die, decided to challenge the fates by electing a new Wonder Woman. Artemis managed to win this contest and as such became the new Wonder Woman, being given magical artifacts of her own, including the Gauntlet of Atlas, which multiplied her strength by 10-fold, the Sandals of Hermes, which granted her swiftness and flight, and of course the Lasso of Truth. Artemis stood apart from Diana as Wonder Woman, but was less respected due to her violent approach to heroics and her more edgy past. Also, sadly, it turned out that Hippolyta's vision would still come true, with Artemis later dying while carrying the mantle. Don't worry though, she would be resurrected, as is usually the way with comic book characters. Artemis was also that other red-headed Wonder Woman who Arana's story and character design likely paved the way for. Number 7. Future State Wonder Woman. I think we can safely say that Yara Flor was a pretty powerful Wonder Woman when we got to peer into the future in Future State, and get a preview of Yara taking up that mantle. Yara herself, like Diana, is an Amazon, but one who comes from a different Amazonian tribe who split off from the women who reside on Themyscira. Her tribe is known as the Amazons of the Amazon, and like Wonder Woman, Yara herself is a demigod and as such possesses divine empowerment. She is super strong, super fast, and can fly, and even if she couldn't fly, she would have her winged horse Jerry to back her up. Yara Flor also possesses her own kind of Lasso of Truth, known as the Golden Boleadoris, which works a little differently. The Golden Boleadoris gives her control over her lassoed opponents, compelling them to bend to her will, which means she can not only compel them to tell the truth, but can also compel people to act as she wills them to. Number 6. Flashpoint Wonder Woman. Definitely one of the scariest alternates of Wonder Woman out there, this alternate version is specifically an alternate version of Diana herself and hails from the Flashpoint timeline. A dark timeline indeed. Here Diana, the Amazons, and Themyscira are at war with Aquaman and Atlantis. In the animated film Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox, this version of Wonder Woman is at war with Aquaman because she killed Mera after the Queen found out about her and Aquaman having an affair. Whereas in the comics, it was the assassination of Diana's mother, Hippolyta, at the hands of an Atlantean during her and Aquaman's political wedding that started the conflict. But what both versions have in common, regardless of how the conflict started, is that they are both ruthless, bloodthirsty, and determined in their war against Atlantis. Number 5. Superwoman. Even as a mother-to-be, Superwoman is really terrifying. Superwoman is the dark alternate of Wonder Woman who hails from Earth 3, but while she is like a parallel for the hero in terms of her place on the crime syndicate in comparison to the Justice League, she is not an alternate of Diana Prince. Instead, Superwoman is none other than an alternate version of Lois Lane, but one who is evil, diabolical, and superpowered. Superwoman possesses superhuman strength, durability, is immortal, and can fly. She is also a master manipulator who comes armed with her lasso of submission, which bends the will of any ensnared in it, making them both obey and love Superwoman. However, her barbed lasso doesn't work on all who she ensnares in it, and some with superbly strong will have managed to resist its control. Number 4. Earth 23 Wonder Woman. On Earth 23, Nubia is the world's Wonder Woman. She serves on the Justice League along with Calvin Ellis's Superman, Batman, Red Tornado, Green Lantern, Mr. Miracle, Vixen, Steel, Zatanna, The Guardian, Black Lightning, and Cyborg, a much more diverse alternate version of the League. Earth 23 Nubia possesses powers that put her on a level similar to that of Diana of the main continuity. Like Diana, she possesses divine empowerment, is an extremely masterful warrior, is immortal, and comes armed with her lasso, gauntlets, or bracelets, and her invisible jet. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, quick alert, alert, we have a new channel coming your way. It is called Nerd Elite. That is right, we are doing another channel and I'm so excited for you to check it out. So make sure you do so, go subscribe, follow, do all the things. Number 3. Donna Troy, aka the original Wonder Girl. Donna Troy has also gone by a few other names over the years and had her origins reworked a few different times. Currently, her backstory is that she was built as a weapon to be used against Wonder Woman, being created by the Amazon witch Darano, vengeful ex of Queen Hippolyta. Donna, however, would overcome her villainous origins and become a hero in her own right, taking up the mantle of Wonder Girl and serving on the Teen Titans. Back in the New Earth continuity, Donna Troy took up the mantle of Wonder Woman during the events of 1 year later, after Diana stepped down in order to do some soul searching. Number 2. Hippolyta. Hippolyta is of course her own character and the mother of Diana Prince, aka our main Wonder Woman, but currently in the comics she has also moved over to become the new Wonder Woman with the Justice League. Hippolyta decided to take her daughter's place as one of Earth's most powerful heroes following the events of Dark Knight's death metal, where Diana basically became one with the cosmos after taking on the power of Perpetua and sacrificing herself to save the multiverse. As Diana rests, Hippolyta decided she should take up her daughter's mantle and has left Nubia to rule Themyscira in her place. Hippolyta is one of the most gifted Amazons around, being a gifted and wise leader, impressively fierce warrior, and brilliant strategist. Number 1. Aurora of Themyscira. This version of Wonder Woman comes to us from the Amalgam Universe, a crossover world where DC and Marvel characters become merged together. If you're a Marvel and Mutant fan like me, you probably already guessed which Marvel character Diana was combined with here. Aurora of Themyscira is a combination of both DC's Wonder Woman and, of course, Marvel's Storm, a famous member of the X-Men and former Queen of Wakanda. Combining both the powers and abilities of these two powerhouse characters makes Aurora one of the strongest alternate versions of Wonder Woman we've seen yet. And one of my favorites. Number 10. Hunter Prince. Hunter is the son of Wonder Woman from an alternate timeline. He first appeared in the 2016 Justice League story arc called Legacy. It's a 6-part story starting in issue 26 that allows us to meet the children of some of the original team from an alternate timeline. Hunter himself appears to be armed with his mother's lasso of truth, her bracelets of submission, and her razor-sharp tiara. Hunter was adopted and raised by the Kents, growing up alongside Superman and Lois' son, John Kent. Number 9. Aqua Baby. Arthur Curry Jr. is also known as Aqua Baby and is the main continuity child of both Queen Mara and King Aquaman. Or he was anyways. He went on a few adventures with his parents but was tragically kidnapped by Black Manta and suffocated to death before either of his parents could save him. Due to the fact that he was Atlantean, Aqua Baby was unable to breathe out of water for a prolonged period of time. The death of baby Arthur is what drove a wedge between his parents, eventually causing them to separate. Though Arthur and Mara seem to be once again getting hitched, so perhaps we will also see a return of Aqua Baby, or more likely some other version of the character reintroduced to us. And before we move on to our number 8 spot, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and if you want to help us out at the channel, you can do so by giving this video a thumbs up. It really does help. Number 8. Hyperman. Hyperman is the son of Superman and Wonder Woman from the alternate reality of Kingdom Come. He is also raised in part by Batman, who is basically like his godfather until he was kidnapped and spirited away. After the heroes rescued him, the child seemingly disappeared, but we would later learn this is because he was actually raised by an older version of himself who resides within Hypertime. Young Jonathan Kent, as fate would have it, was destined to become the guardian of Hypertime, which pretty much means he was considered powerful and important enough to be the guardian of the pathways of the multiverse. Or the pathways to the multiverse, you know, lots of spacey stuff, lots of spacey Grant Morrison stuff. Number 7. Serenity. Serenity is the daughter of Aquaman and Mera in the alternate timeline that is explored in Justice League's Legacy story arc. We learn that although she was close to and loved her mother, she has a much strained relationship with her father, who also appears as a villain opposing the Legacy team of heroes. Eldoris Curry's outfit seems to be inspired by both her father and mother and her Atlantean heritage. She also has been shown to possess super strength, teleportation, and water manipulation powers. Number 6. Connor Hawke. Green Arrow has had quite a few kids, even just in the main continuity. One of the most famous, however, is Connor Hawke, his natural-born son by his girlfriend Sandra Moonday Hawke. Connor would grow up to become the second Green Arrow following the apparent death of his father. His mother raised him by herself, teaching him about who his father was and telling him that she did love his father dearly. Connor first met his father when he was studying at the Ashram Monastery, the same monastery he knew his father had retreated to years ago. Oliver once more was doing just that and visited the monastery again after Black Canary had broken up with him. The adventure these two ended up going on didn't end so well though, as Green Arrow was made aware of Connor's true identity and connection to him before Connor had found the right time to confess that he was his son. Yikes. Shortly thereafter, Green Arrow died and Connor took up his father's mantle, becoming friends with the new Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, just like his dad was friends with Hal Jordan. It's so cute. Number 5. Warhawk. Warhawk is the future son of Green Lantern John Stewart and Hawkgirl from the DCEU, DC Animated Universe. He first appeared in the animated series Batman Beyond and was created by Paul Dini and Alan Burnett. Warhawk's real name is Rex Stewart, and he was named after one of John's friends from the military, Rex Mason, who would later become the Element Man, Metamorpho, in the DCEU. In an alternate timeline, Warhawk is shown to have teamed up with Static and future Batman Terry McGinnis, as well as old Bruce Wayne. Number 4. Cruz. The crazy thing about Nora Allen is that she isn't even the only child to come from these two League members. Nora Allen is part of the Justice League Legacy team, which Hunter Prince is also a part of from an alternate timeline, which Hunter Prince and Serenity of course are also part of from an alternate timeline. She is the daughter of Green Lantern Jessica Cruz and Barry Allen, aka The Flash. It's kind of a strange pairing, but definitely an interesting one, and one that's sort of been foreshadowed before, but I always just think of Iris, so that's just me. Nora and Hunter also appear to be in a romantic relationship in the Legacy story in which they both appear. Nora can tap into the Speed Force but does not seem to possess a Green Lantern ring like her mother. Number 3. Fury. Originally, Hippolyta Trevor was known to be the daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, born from their marriage and first appearing in Wonder Woman issue 300. Weirdly enough, one of the first interactions we see with her and her mother is her training with a giant metal ball and asking for advice from another version of Wonder Woman, who is also joining Diana and Steve for dinner and is currently the main continuity Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman that is Lita's mother is from Earth 2, the original Wonder Woman in terms of comic continuity. I also love older Wonder Woman in this with her like gray streak in her hair. So cool. Steve Trevor looks creepy though. He's got a creepy face. He's like, I'm 60 now. Why do you look so creepy, Steve Trevor? Why? Number 2. Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne is the very stubborn son of Batman and sometimes ally, but mostly villain, Talia al Ghul. Damian spent his formative years growing up with his mother, and as such was a trained and egotistical killer and jerk when he was dropped on Bruce's doorstep. However, over time he has learned restraint and discipline and has worked to earn the pride he initially felt as being the son of Batman. While Batman has many children technically, as in a way most of his Robins are kinda like his foster kids, Damian covets earns the title of the Son of Batman, being his naturally born heir. Number 1. John Kent, or Superboy. But of course, there are just so many Superboys, I feel like calling him John is a little less confusing, though as you've already seen, there are also many versions even of Jonathan Kent as well. We already had another one on this list. This version is kind of the son of Superman and Lois though. He was born during Convergence, and he as a baby and his parents later ended up living on a different Earth than the one that they originally inhabited because of the New 52 reset. As there were already a version of Superman and Lois Lane on this Earth, they decided to go undercover to avoid getting in the way and adopted the surname White for a time. They were the Whites. John grew up relatively normally, but was always somewhat suspicious of his parents' activities. Eventually, the cat was out of the bag when John's powers manifested, and his parents told him the truth about who they really were. The cat wasn't just out of the bag though, the household cat was also accidentally killed by John's heat vision. So yes.
Number 10. The Super Enemies. Starting off our list today with a dark Justice League with no comic origins comes the Super Enemies, an alternate universe version of the Super Friends devoted to the cause of deceit, injustice, and terror. The team consists of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Robin, Aquaman, Zan, Jaina, and Gleek. However, they have no morals and are just evil mirrored versions of the Super Friends. In the episode they're featured in, the Super Friends meet these evil duplicates in the Hall of Evil, which is their Hall of Justice. The Super Enemies frequently taunt the authorities, who are powerless to stop them, although the civilian police are actually equipped to just straight up take them down, as they have kryptonite lasers to stop evil Superman. The Superman of the Super Friends universe first met them when he was mysteriously transported into their universe while trying to stop a volcano from erupting, while their Superman was transported into the Super Friends universe. As Superman tried to escape from the Super Enemies and the military armed with kryptonite weapons, the evil Superman was transported to the real universe to fight the Super Friends. Superman Prime ended up getting an antimatter flask that switched them back, which was good news for everyone. And then later on, Lex Luthor organized his own Legion of Doom to be the real anti-Justice League, and it had a much better name. Check out the one-off appearance of this evil team in 1979's Super Friends episode Universe of Evil. Number 9. Conglomerate. The Justice League doesn't always have to consist of the same roster. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am a huge Batman and Superman fan, but there is also a smaller and less powerful team called Justice League International, and Mark Waid and Rod Wiggum had them face their evil duplicates in 1992. In the previous story, Booster Gold had just left the JLI to found his own corporate-sponsored team called the Conglomerate. Now that didn't work out too well, and the owner decided to pull new heroes out of another reality to form a new conglomerate of Deadeye, who's an alternate Green Arrow, Fiero, an alternate Fire, Frostbite, aka Ice, Elastaman, aka Elongated Man, Element Man, aka Metamorpho, Scarab, an alternate Blue Beetle, and Slipstream, an alternate Flash. The conglomerate decided to challenge the JLI to a quote-unquote friendly competition that quickly turned violent when they realized the new conglomerate were all from Quard, an evil antimatter world. The JLI managed to get them back into their own world, but it was a very close call to say the least. Check out the first appearance of the conglomerate in 1991's Justice League Quarterly number 1, or feel free to skip ahead to 1992's Justice League Quarterly number 8 for the fight of a lifetime. Number 8. Flashpoint. In an effort to stop his mother's murder, Barry Allen created the Flashpoint timeline, a significantly darker reflection of the main DC universe and one of my favorite DC storylines to date. In this timeline, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman after Bruce is killed instead of him. Wonder Woman is like a tyrannical ruler of the Amazons and is locked in a crazy war with Aquaman because she killed his wife, and Superman is nowhere to be found, which means the Justice League technically doesn't exist, and honestly, what's darker than that? Probably a decent amount because this is only number 8, but anyways. If you're not familiar with this timeline, then I highly recommend you check it out for yourself. It is such a good one. All I'll say is that by the end of the series, several major characters are dead, and then in the expanded universe of the Flashpoint timeline, even more characters are revealed to be dead. It's just nuts. Thankfully, Barry managed to fix things before it was too late, but that wasn't enough to erase the Flashpoint timeline completely. Because of that, the DC universe is still dealing with the events of Flashpoint even to this day. Give it a read for yourself, starting with 2011's Flashpoint Volume 2, Number 1. Number 7. The Crime Society. Hailing from Earth 3 comes the Crime Society of America, but not to be confused with the Crime Syndicate of America, who we may or may talk about later on. Consisting of Johnny Quick II, Owlman II, Power Ring, Superwoman, Ultraman, and a few others, this team of villains is basically just evil doppelgangers of the Justice League and the Justice Society. The Crime Society encountered and fought the Challengers, consisting of Donna Troy, Jason Todd, Kyle Rayner, and Bob the Monitor, and the Jokester. After the Challengers and the Jokester escaped to another universe, the Crime Society were offered a place among Monarch's transdimensional army, which they accepted, of course. The Crime Society went on to fight on Earth 51 and battled the Monitors. When Superboy Prime subsequently caused the destruction of Earth 51's reality, it's unknown if any of the Crime Society were able to actually survive that. Now while we're waiting to hear their fate, why not check out their story for yourself, starting with 2007's 52, number 52. Number 6. Kingdom Come Justice League. In 1996, Alex Ross and Mark Waid teamed up to create the miniseries Kingdom Come. This miniseries was set in a near future where the traditional heroes of the past came together to stop the brutal superheroes of the new generation. The new Justice League of elderly but still very strong heroes like Superman and Green Lantern set up a prison to hold rogue heroes and supervillains alike. Unfortunately, the Gulag erupted in a riot between metahumans that threatened to destroy the entire world, and that caused, let's just say, a little bit more trouble for these geriatric heroes. In an act of desperation, the United Nations launched several nuclear bombs over the Gulag site. Batman and Wonder Woman deactivated 2 of them, but one of them was still primed and falls over the battlefield. Superman attempts to stop the bomb, but Marvel throws him back and stops the bomb himself, detonating it prematurely over the Gulag, killing a lot of the League, cavalry, and many of the inmates as well. What makes the storyline so dark is that throughout the story, the Justice League struggle to follow their own morals, even as they impose their own brand of justice on a very unhappy world. Batman in particular sided with Lex Luthor to quote-unquote liberate mankind from the Justice League. In the end, Superman saw his failure, but only at the cost of thousands of lives. Check out the entire miniseries for yourself, starting with 1996's Kingdom Come, number 1. Number 5. The Justice Lords. What makes the Justice Lords darker than the other timelines mentioned so far is the fact that the Justice League actually managed to completely rid their world of crime. While an absence of crime would be a positive thing for most, it's actually alluded that this version of the Justice League went to pretty extreme measures in order to accomplish such a feat. Appearing in the Justice League animated series episode A Better World, Lex Luthor has become the President of the United States and decided to just execute the Flash. That didn't really sit well with the Flash's friends, which is why an enraged Superman confronted Luthor in the Oval Office. Realizing he would never reform Luthor and keep him from committing such villainous acts, he incinerated him on the spot with his heat vision. With the President out of the way and a new method devised to deal with villains, the Justice League rechristened themselves the Justice Lords and went about establishing a new world order under their quote-unquote protection. They eventually came into conflict with the Justice League when they tried to instill their totalitarian rule on the other DC universes, but thankfully they were finally stopped by Superman and his pals, which actually included Lex Luthor, who became instrumental in stopping the Justice Lords and stripping them of their power. Check out this episode for yourself in 2003's Justice League Season 2, episode 22 and 23 as well. Number 4. The Injustice League. Back in 1988, we got introduced to a new version of the Justice League known as the Injustice League. This ragtag group consisted entirely of criminals who never actually made it big in their various enterprises, and determined to make it big, they just banded together and became the rather ineffective Injustice League. Major Disaster, Big Stir, Clue Master, Multi-Man, Clock King, and the Mighty Bruce are what made up the roster. They barely managed to pull off any capers and mostly just got their butts kicked. Oddly enough though, after 2000's Silver Age the Showcase number 1 came out, it retroactively made 1989's Injustice League the second version of the team. The quote-unquote original team was brought together in the Silver Age by the evil intergalactic Agamemnon, who used Lex Luthor to recruit other villains like Black Manta, Bizarro, and the Joker. This Injustice League was way more effective and even managed to switch minds with the JLA on one occasion. When the Justice League managed to switch back, they erased the memory of the event from the villains' minds completely. Check out these two teams in 1989's Justice League International number 23, or head over to 2000's Silver Age Showcase number 1. Number 3. Injustice Justice League. Now I think everyone can agree that no other timeline has featured more DC character deaths than the Injustice timeline. After the Joker takes virtually everything from Superman, the Man of Steel finally cracks and just kills the Clown Prince of Crime. From there, heroes continue to devolve into their worst selves, with a fair split maintaining their moral codes and principles. In the video game and comic franchise Injustice Gods Among Us, the Justice League still calls themselves by that same name, eventually changing it to the Regime though. But that's about the only similarity between the two universes, because the Injustice universe is about as dark as it can get. Superman loses his cool and just thrusts his hand through the Clown's chest after the Joker destroys Metropolis, killing Lois Lane. As you might imagine, this not only kills the Joker but surprises Batman and everyone else around him. Superman decides he is fed up with the old way of doing things and sets out to create a new world order under his totalitarian rule. Superman reforms the League after opposing Batman and many of his other former friends. In the end, it's actually the Dark Knight who succeeds in recruiting Superman from the regular DC universe, who comes in to defeat his darker alter self. Now if you're not familiar with this storyline, check it out for yourself, starting with 2013's Injustice Gods Among Us number 1, or honestly just head back and play through the games one more time. Number 2. The New Reichman. Ever wonder what would happen if Superman didn't crash land in Kansas and instead he crash landed in, I don't know, Germany? Well, wonder no longer, because on Earth 10 that is the reality. On Earth 10, the Germans used Superman, known as Overman in this universe, to win World War II and basically take over the world. As a champion of Germania and the leader of the new Reichman, Overman is accompanied by Brunhilde, Earth 10's Wonder Woman, Leatherwing aka Batman, Blitzen aka The Flash, The Martian, Martian Manhunter, Underwater Man aka Aquaman, and Overgirl aka Supergirl, who was unfortunately killed in battle. Alongside the German forces, Overman conquered the world in less than 20 years, after which he decided to leave the Earth for a while. 3 years later, he returned with a clear head and saw all of the damage he helped cause and became an advocate against all that he once stood for, well, still working alongside them for some reason. Eventually, German scientists used callus cells to create a clone of him known as Overgirl that Overman loved like family. However, she died not too long after her creation, and this hit him hard. Inconsolable and grief-stricken, Overman leaked some precious information to the freedom fighters that resulted in the demise of the new Reichman and Metropolis as well. Check out probably one of the saddest Superman stories I have ever heard, starting with 2015's The Multiversity Guidebook, number 1. And number 1, the Crime Syndicate of America. Consisting of Ultraman, Owlman, Superwoman, Johnny Quick, and the Power Ring, the Crime Syndicate of America is the first alternate version of the Justice League to ever come to life following the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. That event erased the multiverse but left the antimatter universe, also known as the Quardian universe within DC's continuity. Within the antimatter universe, the Crime Syndicate existed as an evil version of our favorite superheroes, only they were far more dastardly than their previous versions. With virtually no one to oppose them, they managed to establish and maintain control over a large portion of their Earth. Eventually they grew bored of their Earth, and the Crime Syndicate began kidnapping people from the 52 multiverse matter-based worlds, and were visited by our Justice League to retrieve the people from the Justice League Earth that have been kidnapped. Fast forward past some pretty sweet fights, and we see Owlman along with Superwoman and Ultraman banished to a prison subdimension, while Johnny Quick and the current Power Ring were captured. Highly recommend you check out the storyline for yourself, so check it all out in their first appearance in 2000's JLA Earth number 2.
Coming in at number 10 on our list, you can't go listing off members of the Justice League without somehow including Batman. In a superhero group consisting of aliens, metahumans, and even literal gods, somehow a mere human being named Bruce Wayne is capable of not only keeping up with the DC Universe's best, but does such a good job of it that he's considered one of the Justice League's most central and fundamental members. Add that to the fact that Batman's got a dossier for each and every member of the Justice League just in case they ever go rogue or find themselves compromised by supervillains, and Batman goes to show that knowledge is power even if he doesn't quite have any super strength of his own. At number 9, we've got our first Kryptonian hero of the list with the one and only Power Girl. Biologically the same person as Superman's cousin Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, Power Girl is from the destroyed Krypton of the alternate universe of Earth 2. While not quite as powerful as the Superman we all know and love, given Kryptonians' lower power levels in this universe, Power Girl is still a mighty force to be reckoned with super speed, super strength, flight, and heat vision all combining into one package. A benefit she has compared to both Superman and Supergirl is being immune to kryptonite, although magic's effectiveness against her is unfortunately still very much a worry. Nevertheless, Power Girl has shown many times over the years that she's far more than just a sex symbol, and has very much earned her place among the ranks of the Justice League. Coming in at number 8, we've got Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. Originally a test pilot working for the military, Hal Jordan became a member of the legendary Green Lantern Corps after being gifted a ring by a dying member of the Corps, Abin Sur. Out of all the members of the Justice League, the Green Lantern's power set allows the most creativity, with Hal Jordan able to make constructs out of pure green light and willpower that can take the shape of anything he sees fit. Combined with increased strength and the ability to fly throughout the cosmos, the Green Lantern is an essential member of the team on any space-related adventures, and with the only limit to his constructs being his own willpower, the Green Lantern can be very tough to beat. Speaking of green and powerful cosmic superheroes, at number 7 we have the one and only J'onn J'onzz, otherwise known as the Martian Manhunter. The last son of Mars, because apparently the Justice League is all about hiring the last people from dying planets, the Martian Manhunter possesses many of the same strength and speed-based powers as other spacefaring heroes in the DC Universe, but with one particularly impressive twist. He can change his body and appearance into any shape shape he desires, from impersonating humans and blending in on Earth, to creating clothing and weaponry out of his own molecular structure. With an incredibly tragic backstory that saw him losing both his wife and child during a civil war on Mars, J'onn J'onzz has since then spent his days protecting his new adopted planet of Earth and aiding the Justice League when evil arrives from beyond the stars. Coming in at number 6, we have a character that would definitely rank much higher on this list if his powers were a bit more stable. Please welcome to the stage Captain Atom. Originally a scientific volunteer named Nathaniel Atom, Nathaniel chose to take part in experiments at a research facility called the Continuum. Originally meant to pilot a special dimensional transfer vehicle during a cross-dimension experiment, Nathaniel was seemingly blown apart and atomized by radiation during the experiment, only to reappear moments later as an energy-based life form. Captain Atom's powers seem almost godlike to an extent, capable of manipulating matter and all of the energy fields associated with it, but with the Captain frequently needing to return to the Continuum whenever he'd begin having issues with remaining corporeal or maintaining control of his powers. And while the Justice League doesn't ally with him often, given the potential danger of his radioactive abilities, he really knows how to pack an atomic punch when he's needed. At number 5, we have another central member of the Justice League with the incredibly iconic Wonder Woman. Otherwise known as Princess Diana of the Amazons, Wonder Woman is the literal daughter of Zeus, and is one of the physically strongest beings in the DC universe. Her strength and speed are capable of reaching incredible levels, and while her healing and invulnerability aren't quite up to the level of a Kryptonian's, she does have a much stronger immunity to magical-based attacks. Combined with her ancient Amazonian equipment such as the Lasso of Truth, and you'd have to be a fool to try and mess with Wonder Woman. Coming in at number 4, we have the one and only Billy Batson, aka Shazam. It may seem odd to put a literal child so high up on the list of DC's most powerful superheroes, but Billy Batson's secret is that by merely saying the magic word of Shazam, he is able to transform into one of the most powerful, godlike beings in the DC universe, combining his powers from the Greek heroes and deities of Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury. With all of these strengths combined, Shazam has been able to stand toe-to-toe with Superman himself. It's only his need to occasionally go back to his original kid form that stops Billy Batson from permanently being at the top of this list. At number 3, we have none other than Dr. Fate. Born under the name of Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate is a superhero that derives all of his powers from his equipment in the form of the Helmet of Fate, an ancient artifact that is literally billions of years old and contains the powers of Nabu, a cosmic being with limitless magical power as the Lord of Order. This means that while wearing the helmet, Dr. Fate is essentially a god with all of his magical abilities, capable of reshaping reality and seeing glimpses of the future. Compared to all the other magic users in the Justice League, Dr. Fate just might come out on top, and the only question left is, which two superheroes could even beat him? Coming in at number 2, we've got to go with Barry Allen, the fastest man alive, aka The Flash. Barry's powers come from a deep connection to something known as the Speed Force. He's not simply capable of moving extremely fast like many superheroes, but is actually using energy from the very concept of speed itself. The Speed Force allows Barry to travel at practically limitless speeds, racing any potential adversary, and even allowing the Flash to travel through time and even alternate realities, moving so fast that he's capable of whizzing right past those fundamental laws of reality. Add enhanced senses and a whole lot of perks to the Flash's power set, and he stands out as one of the most well-rounded and powerful members of the Justice League. After all, how do you top someone you could never even catch? Well, there's just one hero that might be capable. That's right, it might be the obvious choice, but there really is no other. The number 1 pick has got to be Superman. The last son of the doomed planet Krypton, Superman is a beacon to the rest of the DC universe, a symbol of how good and hope-inspiring a superhero should be, and he luckily has the power set to back it up. Unless kryptonite or magic is involved, Superman can practically do anything, and the limits of his strength seem to only be self-imposed ones so that he doesn't literally shatter the planet with each punch. But even with all of this power, Superman Aquaman never wavers in his quest for truth and justice, and remains a steadfast inspiration for everyone. And that is exactly how the world's most powerful hero should be.
Kicking off the list at number 10, we have Element Woman. Making her debut in Flashpoint Volume 2, Issue 1, she was actually recruited by Cyborg to help prevent an upcoming war between Wonder Woman, Amazon's crew, versus the Aquaman and Atlantean's crew that was destroying Europe. So she tries to help out, but Shade, the changing man, uses his M-Vest to reveal that Element Woman, Emily Sung, was insane. Awesome, okay, cool, way to expose our girl. So Cyborg recruited Emily and other metahumans, and the Justice League figured Element Woman was too powerful to not include in the fun. Come on, you gotta get her in there. Alongside Firestorm and Atom. Like Metamorpho's power, Element Woman could transform into any of the elements found in the human body, and then craft them how she pleases. She uses the metal to change her hair colors, which I wish I could use. Although my hair is already going white. That's great. And before we continue on, guys, if you could go ahead and toss us a thumbs up on this video, because it does help us out quite a bit at the studio. Thank you so very much. You guys rock. Now back to some other Justice League members. Number 9, Mara. Making her first appearance in Aquaman issue 11, Mara has taken the place of Aquaman temporarily. See, Mara was on her way to break through the Crown of Thorns, the invisible magic barrier that had surrounded Atlantis. But before this though, she had thought that Aquaman had died by Atlantean soldiers. She even mourned him at the Curry Lighthouse. So she started attacking the Crown of Thorns. She was pissed, makes sense, and while doing so, she actually created these massive tidal waves. So the Justice League came in, and after the battle, she started to calm down. She realized she was putting like a lot of civilians at risk with these tidal waves. Like one time I had a temper tantrum at the zoo when I was like 3. Straight up just hucked my ice cream cone and it went right over some guy's sneakers. Poor dude. I'll never forget my actions. Horrible, horrible actions. Batman didn't approach me and ask me to be on the Justice League afterwards, but Mara, she was lucky enough to get that, so. She then served as the temporary replacement for Aquaman. Not a bad gig. Number 8, Martian Manhunter. Your kind will fail, your kind will always fail. Those are some of the last words spoken by Martian Manhunter in Final Crisis 1 after he gets trapped in a prison. See, he had originally went there to be undercover as John Jones and regularly would report back to Batman, right? That's a pretty good crew. Then the villains broke free and he was left behind. Not good. So Human Flame had given the villain Libra instructions to kill Martian Manhunter. So Libra went and stabbed Martian Manhunter with a staff in front of the entire secret society of supervillains, and upon his death, he returned back to his Martian form. And in his final moments, he still managed to do his job and send a message back to the Justice League. That's a devoted member right there. And they held his funeral on his home planet Mars with Superman giving the eulogy. So when I die, hopefully Superman will do mine. No, it's probably gonna be someone boring. Sorry, my family's boring. You can find his Justice League time between Justice League Volume 2 and issues 6 and 7. Pretty sweet, check it out. Number 7, Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. Much like how Krypto was sent to Earth, Superman's older cousin, Kara Zor-El, was also sent to Earth. She was sent from the dying planet Krypton to protect Clark Kent. Well, rather Kal-El, but of course, as fate would have it, she was knocked off course by the explosion of her home planet. What a bummer. So she ended up in the Phantom Zone, of course. Now in the Phantom Zone, you can stay there for decades and not age at all. Your skin would look fantastic. That's actually what Kara did. So after her pod finally escaped, she landed on Earth and soon joined the Danvers family. Now of course, if you want to see her in action, you can catch the hit show Supergirl. Only 3 different actors have played her, the most recent and current run being portrayed by Melissa Benoist. So if you start binging it now, you can actually probably catch up for when the 6th and final season airs sometime next year when the world starts to be cool again. But if you want to start reading her from her comic book origins, you can find her first debut in Action Comics issue 252. And also, of course, the Justice League United issue 2. That's when things start cooking. Number 6, Fire. Beatriz da Costa is a founding member of the Justice League International. She made her first comic book appearance in DC Comics Presents, issue number 46. She started off as an amateur model, like we all do, in Brazil, and then became a showgirl and stage performer, and eventually she became an undercover secret agent for the Brazilian government. That's usually how it happens, right? I mean, I'm trying the exact same career path right now. I'm hoping Brazilian undercover agent is next. Checking my emails. So close. One of these missions, she was actually exposed to a pyroplasmic explosion. See the name Fire, you know? It's starting to make more sense now, eh? I gotcha. This caused her to obtain some superhuman powers, and at first sported the name Green Fury. And before the Justice League, she joined Global Guardians. Then along comes the Justice League International, and her and Ice Maiden decided to go and apply for this job. This was after Black Canary's resignation, and at this point some members were being abducted, so the Justice League took them on, sporting the new and I would say improved names, Fire and of course Ice. Number 5, Booster Gold, aka Michael John Carter. There's the link. Picking up in Justice League International Volume 3, we find Booster Gold as somebody who craves attention, as we all do, but a leader that was controllable nonetheless. So he became a superhero after saving the life of President Ronald Reagan, using technology from the 25th century. Yeah, that ought to do it. Of course, after doing something like that on your first mission, you would get a high from that fame. Like, you can't top that, come on. Naturally, he became quite wealthy, and that is until his manager stole like all of his money. You gotta ride solo, people. Keep your stuff in your mattress. Keep your cash in your mats. I don't know, weird. In the revamped Justice League International in the late 80s, Booster was a main member. He got close with the Blue Beetle, Ted Kord, and they did some pretty funny missions together. Booster's suit was destroyed while fighting Doomsday, so good guy Ted Kord comes in and builds him a new suit. What a good friend. I don't have friends like that. Then while battling Overmaster, he lost that suit, and this time he also lost his arm. In comes good guy Ted Kord again, this time a new cybernetic arm to go along with it. I want a cool suit. All my friends give me are excuses. Number 4, Simon Baz. He's a Lebanese American born in Dearborn, Michigan. After seeing the attacks of the World Trade Center on the news when he was just 10 years old, he and his family faced ostracism because they were Muslim. His sister was even getting bullied and physically attacked, so Simon would have to intervene. Now, as the years went on, he got an engineering degree and shortly after that, a job at an automotive plant. After the financial crisis hit, he was let go and had to resort to stealing cars and then reselling the parts just to make ends meet. He was also a great street racer and even made some dough that way as well on the side. Accidentally stealing a truck filled with explosives, Simon ends up getting arrested and they suspect him as a terrorist, sending him over to Guantanamo Bay. Ignoring his pleas of innocence, Simon was nearly tortured. It was then a Green Lantern ring popped into the room to save the day, removing him from the facility. And what makes Simon stand out besides his strong origin story is that he has emerald sight. That's right, Simon Baz can see glimpses of the future. He also used to carry a gun with him even while wielding the Green Lantern ring. Why? Because he didn't trust a whole lot of people, obviously, and he wanted a backup in case the ring failed him, which it did a couple of times. We can find more of this reserve member of the Justice League in Justice League of America, Volume 3, Issue 5. Number 3, Captain Atom. Nathaniel Atom making his first appearance in Captain Atom Volume 2, Issue 1. Nathaniel Atom was an Air Force officer in the United States during Vietnam, and after being framed for a crime he did not commit, he was sentenced to death under the watch of Wade Eiling. Now, of course, he didn't want to be executed, so instead he was asked to be part of an experiment that had little chance of survival. I would take that risk. I'm a gambling man myself. The test is just wild. They had the hull of a crashed alien ship and wanted to see how tough it was. So they strapped a nuclear bomb underneath it while our boy Adam was still on the ship. That must be an odd waiting time. I wonder how that feels, just sitting there like, hope it works. Turns out it felt pretty badass considering the alien metal melted to him, and then he shot forward in time by 20 years. Sweet. So Captain Atom, a rather fitting name, joined the Justice League and eventually served as the leader of the Justice League Europe. We can find him front and center in Justice League International, numero 7. Go check it out. Number 2, Steel. John Henry Irons, making his first debut back in '93 in Adventures of Superman issue 500. And after the world lost Superman, John Henry Irons tried to take the Man of Steel's place by using a high-tech suit made of armor. Then once Superman came back, he was simply just referred to as Steel. I mean, OG Man's back in town, you gotta change the nickname. Batman made the conclusion that the Justice League was full of brawn and needed a bit more brains. And boop, Steel has entered the chat. Steel crushed it too. He helped defeat Prometheus and the Queen Bee, and he led the reserve team as well, which included Huntress, Barda, Zuriel, and Plastic Man. He kills it. And finally, at number 1, we have Dr. Light, Kimio Hoshi. Making her first appearance in Crisis on Infinite Earths, issue 4, Kimio Hoshi was a supervising astronomer working in an observatory in Japan. She helped her co-workers as they were following a mysterious phenomenon, and they were watching its path. They were actually so afraid of this thing that she had to make them leave just so she could focus and study this thing in peace. The Monitor felt threatened from the Anti-Monitor absorbing parallel Earths, of course. So he created a champion. You see where I'm going already. So he sent a beam of energy from the Vega Star down to Earth, where it met Kimio. Now she obtained the powers of photonics, and the cool name came along with it as well. She was a member of the Justice League a few times, even the Justice League Europe. And following Infinite Crisis, after her powers were returned, Oracle invited Kimio to join the Birds of Prey. But after she didn't make the cut on their first mission, she found her more suitable location with the Justice League instead.